Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley.
I'm Mica.
DRM, or Digital Rights Management, for those of you who've heard the acronym but never unpacked it.
I didn't.
Hey, is the bane of gamers and technophiles everywhere. But one new study is actually indicating there might be some unexpected positive side effects for the users, not just for the greedy companies that are putting it in your stuff.
And that's because, according to a new report, DRM might actually save you some money.
Well, duh, because you just pirate stuff and then it's free, right? Now, before you get your pantaloons in a twist about this new study saying that DRM is a gift to wallets everywhere, it really does have some interesting stuff to say about the value of products that have DRM, namely, that DRM hurts it.
See, so it's not all bad. But before we unpack the actual study, a quick bit of context for DRM and what it is. DRM exists in a variety of forms, but gamers will most be familiar with how it impacts their games. Generally, DRM is a way to protect software or technology from being tampered with or copied, and that's where the whole pirate stuff comes in with the pantaloons. I just got that.
Yes, everyone loves the pantaloons. Not a bad thing in principle. All in all, most reasonable people would agree that companies should be allowed to protect their products and attempt not to lose money by people stealing them. Unfortunately for consumers, DRM tends to hurt the actual paying customers in its more offensive forms, like always online checks for video games, which then restrict how you can connect and play, which we've seen happen way too many times in recent years.
For the most part though, companies are convinced that DRM is worth the headache because it protects their property. But maybe this new study could convince them otherwise.
So the new study was conducted by researchers at the University of Glasgow, and it's all about the effects of DRM on the marketplace and how customers value products with and without it. The study itself is titled, "How much do consumers value interoperability? Evidence from the price of DVD players."
A long title.
Gripping. Hey you guys, we could teach you a thing or two about exciting headlines.
Oh yeah, you need more caps. In this case, the key thing they're looking at is interoperability. Interoperability.
Interoperability.
We're gonna go with that one. And if you don't know what that's referring to, it means the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of information.
So basically the opposite of DRM. A product with interoperability is one that can talk to and work with a bunch of different formats or products, and open product without DRM, essentially.
As to why the researchers are doing this, they said that the study is part of a larger project to better understand the economics of DRM and to figure out what changes would likely occur if the laws were reformed.
Let's be honest, they all just probably have a grudge against, what was it, Sony's rootkit, the one that they had on the DVDs that would install itself on your PC, and was horrific, and then they released a thing to get rid of the rootkit, and it just made it worse.
Oh, Sony.
Good times. The findings from the study are actually pretty interesting because they indicate the market is actually better without DRM, which could be beneficial to companies trying to figure out if they should include some form of protection.
According to the study, they pulled their data by price scraping every single DVD player on Amazon from all the way back to 2010.
Oh, the before time, the long ago.
Their goal was to determine whether or not consumers considered DRM-less DVD players more valuable than their counterparts.
If you're asking why DVD players of all things, and no one could blame you, it actually makes a lot of sense. At this point, DVD players are so ubiquitous that they exist in all kinds of varieties. Some are better at playing nice with other products and formats, while some are locked down with proprietary bullshit thanks to their firmware. And all of these are side by side on store shelves, both physical and digital, in a way that makes it easier to see the trends.
Some of the DRM-less features the study targeted were things like the lack of region controls. Oh my god, region controls! The ability to play legacy disc formats, and the ability to play new open formats like XVID. Do you remember freaking region controls? Like you couldn't play DVD and it was
oh
sorry,
it's like,
Japan.
Sorry, it's region 2, you're boned.
You're only region 1, get fucked.
So what exactly did they find by looking at all those old and busted DVD players? The researchers wrote, overall, we find that interoperability has a significant positive effect on the price that consumers are willing to pay for DVD players.
That means two things. DRM products tend to be cheaper, but more importantly, people are willing to spend way more money to get DRM-free shit.
The study found that, on average, consumers are willing to pay as much as $19 more when any DRM-free feature is present at all, and up to $30 more for the ability to play open formats.
Yeah.
They also saw a moderate effect on price for region-free DVD players.
Hell, I'd pay a lot for a region-free DVD player. Don't tell never mind, no I wouldn't. So on one other hand, DRM seems to make things cheaper, which which means that technically it saves you money. But the study also seems to show that it does something a bit more significant. It decreases the value of a given product.
Which is a fairly important finding. For the most part, manufacturers and publishers are under the assumption the DRM protects the value of their products. That's why they do it. They want it to still be worth you giving them your money. And as DRM spreads to so many everyday products like appliances, that becomes a bigger deal. Just wait until you can't use your toaster.
Oh God, what will I do with my bagels? If every type of industry is infected with very restrictive DRM, it could force consumers into some tough decisions about things that should be much easier, like maybe I shouldn't buy X brand toaster because it'll only sync with Y brand phone, and hey, it actually burns the bread that I didn't buy from the right affiliate grocery store, and then my fridge won't work, and then my ice will melt, and oh my God, my kitchen's a mess.
Although, could we just talk about the idea of waking up in the morning and being like, time for toast, and it makes your toast? Come on.
I want that
Come on. Now, we already see a lot of these crazy DRM practices with AAA games, and the latest hot DRM protection on the block, de novo. Games get the de novo treatment typically for the first few months, which they've identified as the most important window for game sales, in order to scale back on piracy as much as possible. Although that is becoming less impactful now that people are cracking it within days of release at this point. At first it was great. No one knew how to crack it, and so games were lasting months without getting proper cracks, and then people had to buy it if they wanted to play it.
But we've seen a number of games where de novo and other anti-piracy protections have hindered performance and caused a number of problems for players, whether that comes in the form of problems like frame rate drops we saw in Rime until de novo was removed, or just in the barriers present when something is always online and getting hammered by thousands of players, like EA's disastrous launch of SimCity.
Trying to say that needed to be always online for reasons, no one was buying that. Interestingly enough, these findings also echo some similar reports about piracy that have been out for the past few years. So back in 2012, Ofcom did a study that found that on average, pirates spend more money than regular consumers, which you wouldn't expect, but it jives with the idea found in the University of Glasgow study that people are willing to dish out more cash on products that have fewer restrictions.
But generally, that's not the way DRM is usually treated. The movie industry, for example, keeps lamenting piracy every year, despite the North American box office having record performance in recent years.
Oh, let's talk about the RIAA. Fortunately, some game companies have leaned pretty hard into the DRM-free way of doing business as well and set a good example. CD Projekt Red, for instance, gave a presentation last year about the misconceptions of DRM and how dropping it vastly helped the sales of The Witcher 3.
With sales surpassing more than 25 million in the franchise, CD Projekt found that many of the game's pirates eventually end up purchasing the game once they discover how much they actually love it. For CD Projekt Red, the way to actually stop piracy is to ditch DRM altogether and invite those pirates in.
Aw, so DRM gone, done, over? No? No more? No. It's sadly, if this is just a preliminary study about one type of product, no doubt there will be different results when it comes to other mediums, but still it is promising, and this is one data point that hopefully more developers will look at when deciding what kind or whether they want to include DRM at all in their future products.
And as for what's next, the researchers say they intend to see if these findings bear out similarly in as many product categories as they can get data for, where DRM locked options coexist in the market next to hackable options. Next up on the docket are handheld GPS devices and smart light bulbs. I didn't know you could hack a light bulb.
Smart light bulbs.
Yeah.
Because DRM light bulbs are a thing, everybody. We live in enlightened times.
Enlightened?
If we're lucky. Oh God.
So what do you guys think of this study showing that DRM cheapens not only the price, but the value of products? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on DRM, remember to like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know.
Enlightened.
Ugh. Wow.
Thanks, Eddy.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
What a read.
Okay, sorry. It took me a while. Like I was trying to figure out. I was like, what the line into that joke was. Okay, let's go back to the top.
Okay.